gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 73 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. It's 115 degrees out today. Join my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing, buddy?
Ray, they say it's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's always sunny in Philadelphia, unless the Flyers lose, Ray. The Flyers got eliminated last night by the New York Islanders in 7 games. They lost a score of 4-0.
Yeah, that was.
So here I am without a hockey team because the Flyers got eliminated, and I have to let everybody at home know. I have to let all of you know right now. It's not that big of a deal. It was actually a really good season, and the Islanders completely deserved to win that series. They outworked the Flyers 100%, and I am just so happy that there's hockey on in September and August previously, and that we're heading towards the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's very tough to get me down if you haven't figured it out yet. And it is, in fact, sunny here in Philadelphia today. A cool, brisk 69 to 70 degrees this morning. Nice. I went for a morning walk. Came back home, did some creative stuff, which I love to do, which we love to do. And then I said, man, I can't wait till it gets to 5 o'clock Eastern so I can record Geeks Who Like Sports episode 73 with you, Ray Carcillo. I've had a coffee. Let's go.
Yeah, I've got coffee too today, actually, which is great. But
Cheers. Here we go.
Cheers.
Yeah, clinky.
Yeah.
Clinky, yeah. Anyway, I'd like to welcome all of you to this episode once again. If you're new or you're old or you've been watching since the beginning, we really appreciate you. Thank you for following us and telling your friends about us. We continue to grow. Had a wonderful time yesterday recording our PAX episode for PAX Online 2020. I cannot wait to share the full episode with all of you. That will be airing on Sunday, September 13th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. You can get it on PAX 3. On Twitch, we'll be sharing that everywhere, so you won't be able to miss that. And then we will actually share the full hour and a half episode later that week. But just tremendous stuff with Geeks, and I have to say this again: it is because of you, the listeners. Yes. You have allowed us to become a voice for this community. We are growing very, very rapidly every single day. Not an exaggeration. We have new followers coming in, new people commenting in the group. It is such a wonderful feeling inside, and we know that it's because of your belief in us that we're able to do this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, exactly. I completely echo what Lee's sentiments. And like he said, yeah, we have a great PAX Online special for you folks. And like Lee said, then a few days afterwards, you'll get the director's cut. Because as usual, as you all know, we try to keep the show to an hour, but it usually ends up closer to an hour and a half. Awesome. And PAX was very adamant that, you have 59 minutes. And we're like, okay, so we're cutting the episode. Yes, we're cutting the episode as we speak. It's going to be a fun one. We got a lot of good stuff planned for it. I think it's some fun stuff, some surprises. We also should mention we have some great guests. Finn McConnell, who's been on the show before. Gordon Bellamy, who was part of our PAX panel last year. And for the first time on the show, Asif Khan, the CEO of Shaq News, will be joining us. So we have 3 great guests talking games, talking sports. It should be a lot of fun.
There was chemistry on that panel. I felt it. We could have gone for a lot longer than we did.
Oh, I think we could. We could have literally done a 3-hour show if they would have let
easily.
Us. There was a lot to talk about. It was a great show. Honestly, I think you guys are going to really, really enjoy it. We talk about a lot of stuff, cover a whole gamut. And speaking of a lot of stuff, we have a lot of stuff to talk about today.
I do want to hint real quick before you jump into that, Ray. I'm sorry, I am cutting you off. Make sure you listen to this episode because we do have a giveaway for the first time in the history of the show coming up. We're going to tease it a little bit later in the episode. We want to tell everyone about this giveaway that we're doing. I'll give you a hint. If you're a hockey fan, you're going to want to listen.
Yes, so there you go. So we got a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Like we said, aggressive expansion. We are
aggressive expansion.
Yes, we are working very hard on taking this above and beyond. What we've been doing, and we're step by step. But yeah, so we're getting there. So stay tuned, as Lee mentioned.
Step by step, day by day, day by day.
Exactly.
Mid-90s. Great show.
Yeah, that was a great sitcom. TGIF.
That's what I did on Fridays.
Yeah, that's
then
what I
did
always
SNCC
did
on Saturdays. I did TGIF, and I've been doing that since the 80s. So I had Perfect Strangers on that list when I started, and Full House was there, and then I did SNCC.
Family Matters, which,
which was like Roundhouse or You Afraid of the Dark.
All that, yeah.
All that, right? That came in a little bit later, but yeah, absolutely, it was their biggest show after it came out. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Was everything
classic
to me back then.
I still love the machine where the kid gets trapped in the pinball machine.
Right?
Yes.
Why can't that happen to us?
If only. But yeah, so great show for you guys. Honestly, it's a great show. We got
Yes.
a lot of stuff planned. AEW All Out, NFL rosters cut down to 53 men. NBA, NHL playoffs. Mario 35th anniversary. We've got Batman. We've got Justice League. We've got James Bond.
Avengers.
We got all that stuff. But first, we're kicking things off with a slightly older show that folks are now experiencing for the first time. Cobra Kai is the #1 show in the world. First two seasons were on YouTube. In the world. First two seasons were on YouTube Red for forever, but now they've debuted on Netflix as that show transitions away from YouTube Red, and YouTube and Google realizes that they should just, at least in this regard, they stick with what they know. YouTube was one thing, and a lot of folks didn't go to YouTube Red, and the show is absolutely blowing up. Me and Lee had already seen Cobra Kai. So Lee, what are your thoughts on now all these noobs who are joining the club that we've been in for a couple years now?
Well, I'm gonna first, because we've talked about the show in the past. I think when it was on YouTube TV.
Yes, when it first came out. Yes,
as it was coming out. I'm gonna give a quote here. This is a song by Joe Esposito. It's called "You're the Best Around." To quote the song, and I believe this is fitting. It says, "History repeats itself. Try and you'll succeed. Never doubt that you're the one, and you can have all your dreams. You're the best around. Nothing's ever gonna take me down. You're the best around.
Okay, Lee.
Nothing's ever gonna take me down."
All right. That was solid. I'll give you that. It was solid. We know what Lee sings at karaoke now. Yeah, we know what Lee sings at karaoke.
Because your life will depend on the strength that you will have inside you. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. So
I guess we have. Does Philly have karaoke bars?
I don't know if I'd be brave enough to do that outside a microphone in a pre-recorded segment that I could easily delete if that didn't work out the way it did.
No, I think it was fine. I think the audience right now is clapping along, singing with you. I
hope that they're at home going, "You're the best around." Yeah. Anyway, look, here's the deal. This show has been phenomenal since it started.
Yeah.
I call it took a Deadpool approach, which is the show is slightly self-aware of itself, meaning that it knows some of the ridiculous stuff it did in the movies in the 80s.
Yes.
All right, but it makes fun of itself in a lot of ways. But I think I believe I said this a year ago. Brilliant writing. Mm-hmm. Right? The acting fits the writing, and the story is rich, and it's very much based on, I don't know how many people have seen this, but the show is very much based on that Daniel LaRusso's A Dick series that was on YouTube.
Yes.
That blamed LaRusso that he was the problem. And again, you can tell it started there, because this show is from the viewpoint mainly of Johnny Lawrence in the first season.
Yeah.
Who's the bad guy, and it's just so brilliantly done. There's no other way to see it. I mean, everyone probably listening to this has seen it at this point. Season 3 is coming up. I actually give YouTube a lot of credit for letting Netflix take this on, because this was YouTube's biggest show, and I guess YouTube is kind of moving away from this now. And good for Netflix for making it go. But like I said, a lot of people are discovering this now. I am proud to say I've been watching the show since the start. I'm looking forward to Season 3. Karate Kid / Cobra Kai is part of the fabric of American culture if you were born in the 80s and beyond. So I'm very happy to see it. And let's be honest, it is such a lighthearted show that is so welcome right now with what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
So we'll take it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Do you want me to sing again, Ray? Do you want me to sing again?
No, it's okay. But no, I do want to echo William Zabka's performance as Johnny Lawrence coming back to this role after so many years has really been carrying the show. I shouldn't say carrying. Everybody's giving great performances, but he is the standout, I would say, of everyone. It's
Easily.
It's just everything about it's great, and how it mirrors some aspects of Karate Kid, but then completely makes a left turn and kind of keeps you on your toes at different points.
I think it almost goes deeper than Karate Kid did. Like, it really dives into, one of the things that gives Johnny Lawrence his origin story, which I've always appreciated, that he was a nerd, he was a geek like us.
Yeah.
Before he joined Cobra Kai, and I always loved that. Again, I think Zabka is unbelievable. I think Machio, obviously Daniel LaRusso's character, was purposely written a little bit silly or weak. But his performance gets better as it goes along as well.
Yes.
As it gets serious and
yes,
serious.
He gets deeper, too.
And then the young actors, too. The young actors and actresses are really, really
all
well
the kids,
done.
and Kreese comes back. When Kreese comes back, you get, chills. Like, it's just...
And the big rumor is in season 3 that the bad guy, I can't remember his name from Karate Kid 2, is going to be coming back. And then everybody wants to know if Elizabeth Shue is coming back.
Yeah, which
as Allie, which has been hinted at, but there's no confirmation on that.
Yeah, we have no information on season 3, not even a release date yet, but we're looking forward to it. I'm sure, and Netflix, I'm sure, like, obviously now you have the hot hand, and then you ride this for a little while, and then when it's time, my guess would probably be Q1 of 2021, but we'll see what happens.
It's so funny how the streaming wars work and how these like Netflix and HBO and Disney, they keep getting these like hits. Like there was a while there, Ray, and this is going to be easy to transition for you, but there was a while there where just TV was sucking. I don't know how else to say it. Like, we were in that in-between period between kind of cable dying and streaming coming up with Netflix. And like, this is like when House of Cards was really getting traction and people were like, oh, wow, streaming is really doing a good job. Mm-hmm. But it's completely converted now. And like, we're getting some really quality TV, not Tiger King. We're getting some quality TV now. Yeah. Remember that 6 years ago when Tiger King came out? That's what it feels like. Like I said, during this pandemic, every week feels like a month, and every month feels like a week.
And now what's her face? Carol Baskin is on Dancing with the Stars. We can't get rid of her.
Yeah, don't wish to talk about that.
Like she got rid of her husband, supposedly. But yeah, I don't know. All I know is it's just because people are because that rap got out or whatever. I've still not watched Tiger King.
I haven't watched it either. And again, no offense to anybody that has. We do want to say that.
But it is one of those things that's permeated pop culture enough that you just pick up certain things by osmosis, memes and things like memes like
we know
that. So.
Yeah.
But
still not gonna watch.
Yeah, but you know what we do have? We know what the release date for is. We finally have. It had been rumored that it'd be coming out October 7th, but now Disney has officially put it on the calendar. The Mandalorian is coming October 30th. We are about less under 2 months away from This Is the Way, and the kid and the child and Mando and everybody coming back, and I can't wait. I want it now.
I want it now. Listen, let's just review for some of the new listeners of what's happened in the last year since the show's come out. I named my car the Vandalorian.
Yeah, which
I had a hockey team. You did. I just had a men's league team called the Mandalorians, which is easily the best written Star Wars show ever made because it is, in fact, the only live-action Star Wars show ever made. And above all, when you put it together with Rebels, and you put it together with the Clone Wars, you put it together with the original films, what you've outcome was a season 1 that was unbelievably phenomenal, had so many hints, and now we have the best music ever.
Yes. And
hopefully...
I
want you to feel it at home. I want you to feel it at home. If you're not getting amped up right now, and you're like, I got to go watch this again, something's wrong with you. No, listen. Let's talk about it really quick. I'm actually going to fade this out, so it's not I'm going to do this on the respect it deserves. Here's the deal. Okay, so we ended up season 1. I won't give a spoiler just in case you haven't seen it, but a major expanded universe artifact is at the end of season 1. That's all I'm going to say. I really don't want to spoil it because there probably are people out here who haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Which has opened up the Mandalorian world to everything. Every Star Wars property, the films, the cartoons, all of it. We already know Asana Taco. Her name is not Ahsoka Tano, not Asana Taco. Ahsoka Tano is going to be in there. I would love a taco right now. Rosario Dawson's going to play her, which is going to really affect, because the Clone Wars just ended. All of the properties are coming together. Dare I say that the stars in Star Wars are starting to align after a really shaky year.
Yes.
All right?
Jon Favreau is once again fixing everything.
Yes, thank him for that. But looking forward to it. October 30th is not that far away. It's not that far away.
It's about
less than 2 months.
It's 7 weeks away or so. Yeah. So before you know it, it'll be back, and we will, of course, like last year, be doing our weekly episode breakdowns and going deep into the Star Wars lore. So you have that's
which is
something
my
to look forward
specialty for those of you at home. And I'm going to make a call right now that Boba Fett will appear in this season.
I think that's a fair bet. I think that's a very fair bet. They've already said that was him on Tatooine.
Did they say that, or I think people are speculating that? I believe that was him, and we've been saying that since the episode aired, just so everybody out there, geeks have their pride with calling things. We have been saying that since that episode. I think that's Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen anything else of that character since then. So looking forward to the Mandalorian Chapter 2. I think easily, in my opinion, very biased opinion, the best show on television right now.
That's very fair. I think that's
a
very,
very
fair.
biased opinion.
Yes. It will once again be number one once it debuts. But for now, it's Cobra
I love
Kai.
the streaming wars. Do you see how when these TV shows and these networks compete, we all win?
Yes.
Like I said, I always give Game of Thrones a lot of credit for pushing the fantasy. I mean, this as horrible as the ending was. They pushed the fantasy realm. They showed that it could be working on TV. Keep in mind, we still have Lord of the Rings coming. We still have that coming. We rarely talk about that. That's going to be massive.
That's going to be huge. We've got the Obi-Wan show coming. We've got the Marvel shows coming.
Oh, man. Oh, my God. It's going to get even better.
We've got a lot.
We're just scratching the surface, man.
I mean,
really
DC is still bringing their stuff, which is fine.
I'm going to give Randall a shout-out again, too. Randall, because I'm going to chirp Randall a little bit here, but he was talking about, like, well, when those DC shows come out and The Rock, man, they're going to revolutionize everything. I mean, he's like, they've always killed Marvel and TV. I'm like, I wouldn't say that yet, man. They have a lot of TV shows coming out on Disney Plus that's Marvel, and they're probably going to be really good.
I mean, and the thing is that I think the Daredevil show on Netflix could easily stood toe to toe with anything that DC made.
Easily. I think DC learned from that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the DC stuff is. I think they were able to build a full coherent universe out of that better than Marvel did, which is again partially because, look, for better or worse, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. Look, they're B, if not C tier heroes. Daredevil though is a solid B plus A. Like I mean, like Punisher too. Like and how they introduced Punisher and Daredevil was like there's. They had the beginnings and then they kind of stumbled, but we're not going to get into that.
No, all I will say is this, Ray, because I know we had a transition out of this. There's a lot of, and again, Ray and I are both DC and Marvel fans.
Yes.
Right? I think I lean a little more Marvel. You probably lean a little more DC. Is that fair?
Yeah. The only thing that DC really always kills Marvel in is animation. Like hands
for sure.
down.
I don't think that's ever going to change.
No, neither do I.
DC animation is that is the bar. But I will say this: that Marvel right now, for all the DC fan people that are like anti-Marvel, Marvel is sitting crouched like a tiger right now, and you better recognize that. They're not lazy; they are playing this absolutely right. They don't need to rush anything out. They are crouched, ready to strike, and I believe that. And I think as soon as these shows start coming out on Disney Plus, I mean, Disney's throwing movies at us like Mulan right now to just test it for Marvel. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Like, let's see how this does, because we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and all these other things coming up.
No, exactly. If Mulan does well, think of it, the people who are buying Mulan right now, which I know that there's a whole thing going on with the boycott and all the other stuff, but I think it's an investment in future movies coming to Disney Plus. That's what it is. Really more.
Speaking of movies, we do need to just, as a side note, mention that last week, #1 movie in the world was Bill and Ted Face the Music. So congratulations to the maker of that film for absolutely marketing that perfectly. That's not a movie that would have been #1 had it been in theaters alone. Right. And then this week, surprisingly, Tenet, the new Christopher Nolan film, is #1, and it's pulling in some major money. I think it pulled in $20 million in its opening weekend.
That's solid considering the
that's what I'm saying.
Circumstances.
Yeah. So $20 million in revenue at the theater and $20 million in healthcare costs for COVID spreading. So we'll see how that plays out.
There you go. Well, we're gonna get into more. We're gonna get into some COVID in a little bit. Unfortunately,
how can we not? It's our old friend.
For more, speaking in Warner Brothers and whatnot. But we're gonna stick real quick. We're gonna talk a little bit about Warner Brothers and also Star Wars as well. Just because sticking with Star Wars, some interesting things with Ray Fisher and John Boyega this week. John Boyega, in his GQ interview, talked about how he felt that Disney didn't know what to do with minority characters. This, of course, is hot on the heels of Ray Fisher talking about his we'll say subpar experience with Joss Whedon on the set of Justice League, which has resulted in an investigation and a lawsuit and all this other stuff. And it's just kind of sad to hear. And again, this is just also what's going on here with the temperature of the world as we strive for more quality and better situations and whatnot. But it is sad to hear. And of course, Fisher fired shots at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers fired back, saying, "Oh well, we want to do an investigation. We want to do an internal investigation. We're gonna have a private investigator." And then Fisher revealed that it was a Warner Brothers investigator. He wanted a impartial third party investigator into this, and understandably so. So that back and forth is continuing. It's becoming public and ugly. But I think it's also a good thing because it again brings up this conversation of. And also speaking of Mulan, everyone behind, even though of course all the actors on that were obviously were Asian, but nobody behind the scenes was. And I know that there's a lot of outcry that because of that, the movie kind of suffered because it didn't have that authentic Asian influence. So, I mean, we need to talk about these stories because obviously they are big things in entertainment as we strive again for that equality. I mean, Lee, what are your thoughts on Boyega's comments against Disney and the Fisher investigation with Warner Brothers and all of this?
Yeah, look, there's so many different directions to go with this. So the first direction I'm going to go is this: let's just talk about Hollywood in general. Hollywood just went through a major exodus through a Me Too movement. It was uncovered that there's a lot of problems in Hollywood when it comes to how women are treated, a lot of problems with how, diversity in general is handled in Hollywood. So I would lean on the side of the actors here that this probably did happen. Now, I'm a big, you got to have the trial process first kind of get. Yeah, right. But no, it would not surprise me if any of this was true, number one, right? And I don't think it should surprise anybody. Hollywood is a mess.
Yes.
And we can't just turn our head casually at that. It's obviously a mess. They've had a lot of problems, so this would not surprise me. Now, with that said, I'm also a believer that things should stay behind closed doors until a time that they can't. Now, what I mean by that is if Boyega and Fisher are coming out, I want to imagine that they're doing that because they don't feel like things are being fairly done for them or they're being ignored. And that's typically when those types of situations happen when they go to the public. It does make it very messy, though. And not that I don't like that. It's not about whether or not I like it or not. It's more of a, is this the right way to get the best result for everybody moving forward? Now, Boyega, who's been on the front lines of a lot of the movements going on right now. I remember he was at one of the peaceful protests, and he even said that, if I get fired because of this, which I thought was a very curious thing for him to say. Yeah. And then Disney came right back in Star Wars, like, we support you 100%. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't want to presume to know what's going on. But I do want to pursue something that's going to make it better. But I would not be surprised at all if Hollywood is completely screwing this up. And things have to change. I mean, it's an industry that has to change, and they know that. In my opinion, I think they should do a little bit less talking about politics. I think they should do less talking about the world. Not like in the athlete sense where it's like, just shut up and play. I think you have a voice, but I don't particularly like being lectured by people that I don't think have a high moral standing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say with that? That's just my opinion. I'm not saying they don't have a right to speak. All right? I'm saying I don't feel like I want to be lectured by Hollywood on the morals of the workplace because they have not shown me anything about that. I think in pro sports, that's a completely different world, and there are sometimes I don't like to be lectured by athletes either, but it's about how you go about it. Take action. John Boyega is taking action in the streets.
Yeah.
So when I look at John Boyega, I'm like, this is a guy that's practicing what he preaches. I can see that.
He's on the front lines.
I don't want to hear anybody on. Yeah. Again, not to switch to sports, but like a lot of people rip LeBron James. This dude's building high schools in his spare time. He's never done anything against his wife or his family. He's a great father. If you hate the Lakers, you hate LeBron because he's your opponent. Totally get it. But this is a guy that practices what he preaches. I don't have to agree with him to say, okay, you've earned the spot to speak. But I'm not going to listen to Hollywood bigwigs who haven't done anything and just want to feel like they're part of it. You know what I'm trying to say? So Hollywood, listen up. Listen to your actors. Make it a better place. And let's move forward. Because, this is not going backwards, right, Ray? I mean, it's 2020.
No. Right? Change is happening, folks, and it's happening for the better. And like Lee said, it's going to be messy at points. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be difficult. But that just means that it's worth it. Because it's going to help out. It's going to help out everyone overall in the long run.
Ray, what happens when the tectonic plates shift?
Well, usually, I mean, you have earthquakes and you have volcanoes and you have lots of
things happen and then they settle. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
And you
life
rebuild.
mimics
And you
your-
rebuild bigger and better than ever.
Exactly. That's my point, right? So sorry to throw you on on the spot there, but that's my point. Like the tectonic plates are absolutely crashing against each other right now, and we're gonna have a better place when it's done. But you have to let the lava flow, and then it cools off, and then it makes Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to go to Hawaii.
I'd love to go to Hawaii as well.
They won't let us in because
Yeah,
they're like, you guys stay over there and keep your masks on.
That's where all the Corsolas are in Pokemon Go. I'd love to go to Hawaii, but yeah.
Business trip.
Yeah, business trip. Wink, wink. Yeah, but no, seriously, it is great that that these guys are doing this and obviously being a public face on what is again, it's still a serious issue and keeping it in the limelight. And it's also very sad that they had to deal with all of this and are still.
And I just do want to say this again. Like due process, right? It has to go through the process. I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong. I'm just saying that for them to go public with this tells me that no one was listening to them. And they feel wrong. Yeah. So there has to be the
time. And like we've said before in the show, it's time to listen. So
yes.
But speaking of volcanoes and earthquakes and tectonic plates shifting and that's how some folks think they killed the dinosaurs. But you know what? They're bringing the dinosaurs back in Jurassic World 3. God forgive me, that was a terrible transition. But
that was an awesome transition. What are you talking about? How often do you get to make a transition with lava and volcanoes and dinosaurs? This is like being in third grade. This is awesome.
Yeah. What's your favorite dinosaur, Lee?
I always loved the Brontosaurus growing up. I did.
Nice. I was a Stegosaurus guy.
I was gonna say Stegosaurus. Did we just become best friends?
Oh my god! Yep.
Yeah, Stegosaurus is there too, but I always like Brontosaurus for some reason. I don't know why.
Because that just made me think of the meme is that like when you grow up, people stop asking what your favorite dinosaur is, and that's not what Geeks Who Like Sports is all about. We want to know what your favorite dinosaur is. Comment below. And
did you like Velociraptors before Jurassic Park or after? Be honest.
Yeah, because nobody knew what a raptor even was until Jurassic Park. Yeah. And you know what? And speaking of raptors, I'm kind of sick of what they're doing with Jurassic World because they've announced.
You and I might disagree on this.
They've announced that more gene splicing and stuff is going to happen in Jurassic World 3, and they've shown the first image, or at least of the animatronic of what it will be, and it's a raptor. And it's got, like, gray and orange and red scales, and it's called the Pyroraptor.
Pyroraptor!
Because it's going to breathe fire.
Fire Dragon Pyroraptor!
Because, like, and...
Come on, man. Listen. This is a classic example of these movies aren't for us.
Yeah, I know.
You're telling me, like, listen, if I could bring my son on this show right now, I'd bring him upstairs. I should do it, but I don't think he can hear me. Logan, what would you feel about a dinosaur that breathes fire? That's awesome. That's exactly who they're building this for. I want sharks with freaking laser beams on their head. That's what we're getting, all right? So, like, I have no problem with that. That's exactly where this franchise needs to go. Mean, and now, Pyroraptor, man. You want a dragon? We got dragons.
It's... No, I mean, I guess that's true, right? Jurassic Park came out when I was, like, 7. I think you were 8. Like, it's like... Yeah. And it was the idea that we got dinosaurs in a movie on the big screen, and it was, like, the most amazing thing ever. But I don't know. I think it might be... I think it might have jumped... It might have jumped the shark with a laser beam on its head, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Look, it is a stretch, but I get it. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, this is dinosaurs with freaking laser beams on their head. That's what it is, and like I said, it'll fail at once. Like, it's not going to go forever. Yeah. Right. And like this, they have to up the ante in every movie. That's just the way it is. These aren't TV.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that they're losing ways in how to up the ante, and this is where we've gone.
Right, a fire-breathing dinosaur. Come on, that's awesome. Pyroraptor. I mean, we all want to be a pyro. I know what I'm going to be for Halloween.
Yeah. It is an interesting idea, but yeah. I mean, it is. You know what I would want to be for Halloween though? James Bond.
Bat.
Oh, I would be a bat too, but James Bond would be good too. The newest trailer for No Time to Die came out, and this is like, please wear your masks. I really want to see this in theaters. I really need this pandemic to get under control in the next couple of months. Selfishly, just so I can see the last Daniel Craig James Bond film in theaters. I am super pumped for No Time to Die. It feels like it feels like it's mixing the old classic Bonds with the darker Daniel Craig Bonds that we've had the last few films, and I'm all for it. At least now, I mean, look, a lot of guys get paid a lot of money to make these trailers look good. But, man, does that No Time to Die trailer look really good. So I'm super pumped for that. That came out this week if you haven't seen it yet. I put it in the Facebook group, the link to it. It is, if you are a Bond fan, this looks like it is going to be right up our alley. It's got throwbacks to all the classics. While still pushing the story forward. Now there's also rumors that Henry Cavill is in the running to take over the Bond mantle, which would also be awesome. I know a lot of folks like Idris Elba. I'd be okay with that too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, but I love the idea now because this is going to be Daniel Craig's last movie. He's getting up there in age. He's in his late 50s. He does all his own stunts, which is definitely wear and tear on his body more now. I think Cavill would be good because he's younger and could probably handle the role for multiple films. But yeah, I'm super pumped for this. Lee, what do you think of No Time to Die?
The trailer was great, as you said, just nothing but action. It was way better than the first trailer that we got that just did nothing for me. Looking forward to seeing Rami Malek as the bad guy in the film.
With the broken mask,
Yeah, there's so many throwbacks to Aston Martin and the original car and everything in this. So keep in mind, Daniel Craig was very close to walking away from this.
Yeah.
Something got him to come back.
For one more.
Whatever it was. Yeah, and he was really done. Like, I remember him saying, I don't want to do anymore, even though he had one more in his contract. So something brought him back, and this looks like a very old-school Bond film in terms of just great action, which is what Bond is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not just espionage all the time. So,
yeah,
this looks great. It looks like it'll be a fitting end, and I'm looking forward to it. In regards to the next Bond, I think Cavill's a great bet. I think that I'd like to see them expand the Bond universe. I know there's been a lot of diversity calls to change James Bond, and this is one character I'm like, I don't know if we need to do that. Just expand the 00 program and make more 00s and expand the universe. I think that's a safe way to do it. Then you can bring women.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And they hinted at that all the way back in GoldenEye with Trevelyan being 006.
Right. Like, there's no reason that they can't expand that universe and have even more 00s, and then you get offshoots, and then that's how you build a character.
Yeah.
Not that I have any problem with Idris Elba playing Bond. It's just like, it's just how I feel about it. It's just like, I think Cavill
we can get them all in a Bond film. Let's get Cavill and Elba and everybody else. It's gonna be interesting to see how they go forward from here. But in the moment, they've got to get through No Time to Die, which is now 2 months away from release in theaters.
Yes.
And hopefully also on demand so I can watch it because I'm not going to a theater anytime soon unless you all wear your masks.
Me either.
Yeah. So, but speaking of Cavill, who of course is also, at least for the moment still also Superman, there's some rumors with his best buddy Batman. Some troubles happening there on the set in England. The Batman production, Matt Reeves' Batman, has been shut down.
Again.
Speaking of masks also, it's been shut down again because of a COVID outbreak on set, which supposedly, it has not been confirmed, but supposedly one of the victims has been Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson might have COVID right now. And that's going to delay the Batman for who knows how long. Probably longer than 2 weeks if your main star has this. This is a serious issue, and again, harkens back to the problems in Hollywood that maybe they opened up and started productions again a little too soon. Because England is look. People don't talk about numbers in England. England's infection rate is similar to ours. It's just they have such a less amount of people that you don't hear the numbers every day. At least last I checked.
Like, in terms of timeline, they're behind us. They've always been 2 weeks to a month behind.
Right, like we were 2 weeks to a month behind Italy.
Happened. Yeah,
England was 2 weeks to a month behind us, and so it's.
And none of us are learning from each other.
No,
not one country's learning from another country. There's a second. Oh, look! Italy had an outbreak again. That's not going to happen here. We had an outbreak again. Yeah. England. There's chaps over there in America had another outbreak. There's morons. That won't happen here. It happened there. Matt Cavalieri, who's listening to this episode, I apologize for that accent.
So it's unfortunate, and it just feels like, again, I'm not gonna get political or preachy. Just sounds like we're trying to rush through this, and we can't. And I get it, right? Like I get it. People need to make money. People need to have jobs and all this other stuff. But like,
the Rona don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't care.
Exactly.
It's coming no matter what. So yeah, look, it's a shame. I hope Pattinson, if he has it, he recovers quickly. And I'll tell you what, he's earning this role. If he's ever wanted to earn a role, he's earning it. This movie better be good.
And the only thing I'll say is I guarantee you the Riddler didn't catch it because he had a mask on the whole time.
You want to know how I got these scars?
Yeah. Oh goodness! But speaking of darker heroes and alternate timelines and things like that, The Boys, the second season of The Boys, kind of surprise dropped the first episode a little early, but it's out now and they're releasing it weekly. And Lee, you started watching. I know you're a big proponent of the first season. What are your thoughts thus far on The Boys and its return?
I think it's actually started off a bit slow. It has some moments that are really fun that kind of harken. Like the shock value of season 1 was why you watched it. Was just like, what are they going to do next, right? And the first 3 episodes, which I've watched, have had a little bit of that. But you can tell what they're doing is they're trying to weave the storyline to a position where they can move forward. Because season 1 ended on such an explosive, like, whoa! That's like credits, you know what I mean? So they're trying to get themselves in a position. I have a feeling, my guess is, like most seasons, like after episode 4, we'll be on the right trajectory and they can kind of move forward. But yeah, it's been okay. Like I've made it through the episodes. I haven't had a problem making it through the episodes, but I'm not as like intent on it as I was the first season. Obviously, let us know what you think, if you've been enjoying it, if you've been watching The Boys. Comment below wherever you're watching this and let us know. But I think it will get better. It's not like I don't want to watch it, but it's a slow start. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, that's fair. That's perfectly fair.
Yeah.
I'm
just being honest.
I don't have Amazon Prime, so I have not been watching it because I very rarely order anything from Amazon. I'm one of those people.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm the opposite. I have no problem ordering or selling my products on Amazon.
I mean, look.
If you have a problem with that, comment below. No,
I mean, look. I don't have a problem with it. From everything that I need in my life, I can either get directly. Like, look. I go to the store. I buy my food at the store. And I get my video games through the video game systems. And really, that's about all I buy. So
yeah, that's fair. You don't have a need for it. That's totally fine.
Exactly. It's not that I'm against it or for it. I just don't have the.
It's fine.
I don't have a particular need for it.
When I have offices and I have kids, so I need stuff pretty quickly sometimes.
Yes.
The one thing I do want to say, not that I'm trying to pivot to this topic, is for the anti-Amazon people out there, I think it is important to know this. Like, yes, if you're buying directly from an Amazon-built product set, you are feeding the beast. But don't mistake that there are a lot of small to medium-sized businesses that sell on Amazon, and Amazon is one of their biggest revenue sources. So when you're buying, you can see it, who makes the product. If it's not Amazon, you really are supporting a business, right?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I sell my products on Amazon, and Amazon has been nothing but wonderful to my businesses, right? But yeah, like if you're buying from Amazon direct, it's one thing, like batteries or something like that, where you're screwing over the little guy. But I just want to make sure people know that there's a lot of small. It's like an eBay. There's a lot of small businesses on there that it benefits. So it's not as evil as you probably think. They are trying to take over the world, though. So be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff Bezos will be the first trillionaire. But like I said, I just don't have. I'm one of the few people who don't have a need for it because I kind of.
It's okay.
I'm very fortunate where I kind of have a very, for the most part, a simple life full of video games, action figures, and tacos.
You should host a show and tacos.
I made tacos last night.
All in favor say aye.
Oh goodness. So this is gonna be you know what? What's interesting is some people think they don't need Amazon, but in the most recent video game, some people think they don't need the Avengers. And the new Marvel Avengers just came out this week. Some folks got it a little early if they pre-ordered the deluxe edition. Me and Lee both got it on day one because I thought it was a waste of $20 to get the deluxe edition for some extra costumes and a little early access.
Absolutely was a waste to get the deluxe. Yes.
Especially when all the real content is going to be free, like the free DLC, like the Ant-Man / Spider-Man / Hawkeye DLCs they've all announced that are coming out. Although I should say more Hank Pym is that those DLCs will come out later. but they're for free. But Lee, I'm a little over a third of the way through the campaign at this point. You're a little behind me. What are your thoughts thus far on Marvel's Avengers for Xbox One and PS4?
Overall, I think it's brilliant. Blown away by the storyline. I love that Kamala Khan is the main character of it. I love the way the game starts. It was a very brilliant, quote-unquote, tutorial. Being at A-Day and being kind of in an Avengers museum, it's really fun to walk around there. And they really ease you into this game. Again, this is a spoiler-free alert, right? So like we're not going to give away anything because the game is so new. But yeah, the game starts really with a really enriching storyline. And it's about just 6% of the game, right, before A-Day happens, which, again, you'll have to play it if you want to find out what that is. And then once you get into kind of the main campaign, the game really starts to open up to show its true colors. And what I mean by that is the game starts with a story, and then it opens up into this completely immersive game where there are daily challenges if you want, that there are things you can buy with microtransactions, that there are different campaigns. And I'll be honest with you, Ray, it opened up way more than I was expecting. And even with where I'm at now, Ray and I are still playing the campaign mode, but you can see the potential here. They didn't make this as a game that's going to be you play it one time and you're done. They're making a world here. They're making a universe here where they're going to continually come back and really get you in and going and going and going, which is exciting on one hand. It's also a little bit annoying on one hand because I'm trying to play the campaign mode and I have to really kind of make sure that I'm on the right track to finishing that part of the game. But it is expansive how big this galaxy or universe that they're making is in the game. The only other thing I'm going to say is you get to play with a variety of the Avengers. I know you're going to say this too. Hulk is so much fun because it's exactly what you think it's going to be. It's just bashing things. And then there's things like Kamala Khan, who's a brawler, who's awesome. She's actually one of the more fun characters to play with. But then like Iron Man is very, very hard to play with. It's not, I said this before, Iron Man once again proving why a Superman video game is so hard to make with anybody that flies. Right, and then the characters that I played with so far, Thor looks like a lot of fun, Black Widow's a lot of fun, and so forth and so on. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Again, the last thing I'll say before I let you go, Ray, is when it opens up, I mean, it really opens up fast, and it's almost overwhelming. I thought that was one part of it that was like, wow, okay. Now, I think if you play a lot of games like that, you know what to do, right? Yeah. But, I don't. I only play maybe 4 or 5 top titles a year, and, like, that opened up to me. It's like, whoa, what am I supposed to do now, and where am I supposed to go? And I want to thank you, Ray, for confirming, because I came on before the episode. I said, I just played this level with Iron Man, and I had a really hard time, and it's just such a simple mission. And then Ray, thank God, said, no, that wasn't easy. That was a little bit harder for me, too. And I felt like, okay, maybe I'm not a moron, and maybe I don't suck as much as I think I do. But, first impressions, it's great. And you got to pick it up if you love the Avengers. Oh, sorry, last thing. Then I'll shut up, I promise. They have done a really masterful job in this game of somehow echoing the MCU, meaning the theatrical side of it, with the characters, but making sure that it's not that. So what I mean is these characters are, in terms of the Avengers, they're extremely familiar if you've watched the films, but it's clearly not them, and it's clearly a different time period in terms of it doesn't, like Tony Stark will
It's a different world. It's a different universe.
It's different, yeah. He will seem young to a lot of people that play this game if you're a big movie fan, and Hank Pym is obviously on that side as well. But in terms of the writing and the characters, it's a lot of fun. I've caught myself laughing several times. Yeah, especially with Stark. I mean, he's funny as hell. Yes. They totally encapsulated the MCU essence in this without making it the MCU. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, they're creating their own universe. I've already seen people start to liken it to a Marvel version of Destiny, which was the Bungie game that came out a few years ago, which for some folks absolutely got their hooks into them, but because Destiny didn't really do a good job with its lore or its story, kind of turned me off. It wasn't what for me. With this lore and story and building out the Marvel universe and throwbacks to things from the comics, whereas also and tying it in and doing things with their own twist and take on them. And like Lee said, the characters will feel familiar. Their personalities are very much similar to what you get in the movies, but it's a whole new story. They're completely different adventures, completely different world and characters and all that. And you get villains that you haven't really seen before in the movies, which is super exciting. Minor spoiler. Super minor spoiler, but like, and yeah, like Lee said, and some of the characters handle differently, and some of them handle better than others. There are also certain levels where I would say Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel handles the best of all the characters in most situations,
and she's the most fun so far.
She is. She's a lot of
in terms of
fun.
Strategy. Yeah, like Hulk doesn't have a lot of strategy, but he's really fun to play with.
Right, exactly. You kind of get a little bit from Kamala. She's the all around character, right? She's the Mario of this roster, whereas Iron Man plays better as like a sniper. With distance, using your repulsor rays. He's not. He can get in fist fight, but that's usually when he's most vulnerable. Whereas obviously, flying enemies and enemies from snipers from a distance drive Hulk nuts and will whittle down your health by the time you can get there. Which is also why this game kind of, especially once you get through the single player campaign, most of the missions after that, like the expanded story around that, it recommends play with your friends. Play with a well-rounded group of Avengers so that you all complement each other like the Avengers. You know, Black Widow is kind of like a mix of that. Like she has range with her pistols, but they're weak, right? You can get a lot of shots off, but they're not going to do a lot. Whereas Tony's repulsors are slow, but they do a lot of damage per shot. But Black Widow can also handle herself better in a fight in melee. But again, she's very quick, but she's not very strong. We've seen these archetypes before in games. It's just that they're putting a Marvel skin on them, and they're doing a good job of it. It is very well balanced. It's just the challenge comes in that sometimes it takes a couple times to figure out, okay, this isn't the right character for this situation. How do I change the characters? Do I mix up my strategy? Do I call a friend? I sound like Regis Philbin now. You want to phone a friend? And you call in somebody else.
Why was Regis so angry there?
I don't know. I think
Do you want to call a friend?
Yeah,
it's me, Regis Philbin, with Ray Costello. Right. You chose the Hulk for the Battle of New York. Why? Oh, that was a perfect timing in the background with the sirens by the way. But no, it's a lot of fun with that. I do want to mention too that with Kamala Khan, what they did brilliantly, I call it the FN 2817 approach, which is Finn from Star Wars, was they very much positioned Kamala in the beginning of this as a fan of the Avengers, and that's okay. That's not a spoiler. I mean, that's kind of known. Yeah. And what that does is it really makes you buy into the story right away, because she's us. Like, what would you do if you were next to an Avenger? And like that's how they suck you in. It's brilliant.
She's the entry point into the universe. It's a low barrier of entry, and it's a really good job. And she's legit. She like I was so excited when she first gets her stretchy powers. Like, again, that's not a spoiler either for those of you who are familiar with the character's been around in comics now for over a decade already. But like, you know, she's a polymorph. She's like Mr. Fantastic, right? She can stretch.
Yeah.
And when she first does that, it's such a great and satisfying feeling. And like, and I'm not going to spoil how she gets her powers or any of that. Like, I mean, like,
it's too early to spoil that.
Yeah, but it's really well done. And obviously, as we play more of this, I will hopefully beat this within the next week. Lee might take a little longer. That's fine. He has.
Oh, we'll see.
He has.
The difference is I might beat in a week, but I probably won't play it too much after that. That's the difference.
Until the next DLC comes out, right? Whereas I might stick around and test a few more things and go a little more in depth. But I'm kind of with you. I will probably. For me, it's again. This is the story. The story is very, very important to me in a game and the narrative and stuff. And so right now, the main campaign is great.
So many side campaigns though already. They've really built. This is a really large world. I mean, it's impressive what they've built. So if you're one of those people that likes a game like that, totally get this.
Yeah.
Especially like I said, I think about all the expansive universes that I've seen. It's the MCU. So it's just its own MCU. It's brilliantly done.
Yes.
First impressions are tremendous. I'll let you know how the story ends if I still like it. I think there's potential, right? Again, without spoiling for the audience, there's potential with the way the story is going that they might introduce another major Marvel property into this game, and I'm kind of waiting for it. I think it might happen.
Yeah, I think so too. Like they're hinting at some big things, and I think that's going to be really exciting because, again, similar to Destiny and Destiny 2. There were so many free not for Destiny charged you, but for what free add-ons that Marvel is doing, they could they could keep this game going for years. I mean,
Yeah.
especially
Well,
as like, I mean,
Yeah.
and also
They
there are
built it for that.
microtransactions, we should say, but they're purely cosmetic. It's not a pay to win game. It's not like that. It's do you want the
gambling.
classic Hulk costume? You want Gray Hulk? Give us $1, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like you could, and you can also earn it. By the way, it just takes obviously a lot longer. So, and that's where a lot of these games, and that's honestly a business model that works. Like if you want to drop the extra real world money, that's your choice. I'm not going to. I don't think Lee's going to, but that's it. And if you want to play with us, by the way, Lee's on Xbox and I'm on PlayStation because I wanted to get the Spider-Man. Because it's also pointed, by the way, this is a minor news story. It is looking like that the Spider-Man DLC, and now I'm a little sad because I would have got Xbox so I could have played with Lee, but I got it for PS4.
Oh, don't be sad. Don't
because
worry
I
about it.
wanted Spider-Man. I wanted Spider-Man, but now it looks like the Spider-Man is just going to be a timed exclusive. Won't be an only exclusive, but at least that's the rumors that are going around. But either way,
I'll tell you what. If you really want to play with me, I'll buy you another copy.
No,
I don't have too many friends. I don't have too many friends on Xbox.
Yeah,
So that's fine.
it's all good. It's
All
right.
three of you know who you are.
Yeah. Well, play with Lee. Get Avengers and play with me. The other three, or play with Lee.
That's fine.
For the other three of you. So, but yeah, no, it's a great game, and you know we mentioned. I called Kamala as the all-around character kind. I called her the Mario of the Avengers because she is so, at least in this game. But speaking of Mario, as we move on to our next topic, it's the Mario Brothers 35th anniversary this year. Super Mario Brothers came out in 1985. It's my 35th anniversary of being on this earth. It's Mario's 35th anniversary on the NES. Nintendo, much to the joy, it's not as good as necessarily a new game, but Nintendo, who's been very quiet during the pandemic, at least said we are doing a 35th anniversary celebration. We are putting out a lot of different things. Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is a 3-in-1 game for $60, which is Mario 64, Mario Galaxy, and Mario Sunshine. So basically the premier Mario titles of 3 generations, the N64, the GameCube, and the Wii, are coming to the Switch for a $60 bundle. That will be a limited edition release. They're also doing a thing called Super Mario 35, which is similar to Tetris 99, which is a free-to-play game if you have the Nintendo Online subscription. And you basically, 35 people try to get as far as they can in the original Mario Brothers and get as high a score as possible, and the last person standing wins this kind of mini Mario Battle Royale. This is also limited only. Nintendo's pulling the plug on it, they say, in 6 months after it releases October 1st. We are going to talk a lot about this during our PAX Online panel next week. So we're gonna get our initial thoughts on it. Lee, just give me your initial thoughts on this Mario 35th anniversary and what Nintendo's doing with these limited releases.
Yeah, it's Nintendo once again pushing the gamut and trying to see what they can do. I mean, as one of our guests, Asif, said, there's a major business side to this that I'll let you guys discover next week when he discusses this. I think it's great. I think it's great anytime they do limited releases. I mean, I really want Ocarina of Time, the Zelda game, which we talked about. It's probably going to happen next year because Zelda has its anniversary next year.
That's Zelda's 35th.
Yeah. So I'm okay with Nintendo trying things out. Look, they've always been ambitious with things like this, and again, as we said, not to keep going back to PAX, but everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about that, and not PS5 and Xbox S, Xbox X.
Which I also realized as we did our PAX Online panel yesterday is just how terrible a name the Xbox Series X really is.
That's the worst.
Because people are much like people are already confusing the Xbox Series X with the Xbox One X, and they're using them interchangeably, and it's gonna be a marketing disaster.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking with that one, but look, Nintendo continues to push the gamut, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. Again, we talked about it a lot. You'll hear about it more next week.
Yeah, exactly. And continuing to push the gamut, they also announced Mario Kart augmented reality, basically. We've talked before about the Mario stuff, the Lego Marios that have been coming out, which have been terrific. Everybody seems to love those. This is another thing where, and again, we're going to get much more in depth to it on Sunday with PAX. But basically, just really quickly, you get basically old RC cars that are Mario Karts, and they have little cameras on them. and you can drive them around your apartment or your house or whatever, and you can actually set up courses in real life that you then play with your Switch, and you use the Switch to drive the RC car, and other characters and items and like banana peels and blue turtle shells populate your screen as you're actually driving the RC car around your house, which is just it's just brilliant on so many levels, honestly.
It's brilliant, and it's just scratching the surface of where gaming is going. I think this is actually going to be a game in the future. I don't think this is going to be like a one-off thing like they did with those builder sets. I think this is like the start of something new. It might do really well. It might not, but I think this is something you're going to see a lot more of in the future. And
for sure.
Nintendo, again, leading the charge.
For sure. And again, tune in to PAX Online next Sunday as we are on September 13th, as we are going to talk a lot about that during that show. But you know who's not pushing things forward? You know who's kind of just terrible? EA Sports.
Daily television news. Oh, EA.
Daily television news too. Yeah. So
the niche news networks. Oh, no, not that? Okay.
Yeah, no. So our last geek story of the day is another game. A lot of folks are up in arms over the fact that EA UFC 4, which came out a month ago, has now started to add commercials between rounds, and people are like, why are you putting commercials in my video games? Now, I understand that EA is always at the forefront of trying to figure out ways to take more of your money, but and I even get updating things like in the Octagon changing the skin so that it has whatever ad is Monster Energy drink or whatever is sponsoring the UFC that week. That's fine. But actually playing a 5 to 10 second commercial to remind people that The Boys Season 2 is out now, in between rounds, like almost like a commercial is the loading screen for your game. It just feels wrong on so many levels, especially considering people have already spent $60 on this game. That should be enough for them just to get the game. You shouldn't have to bombard them with more stuff. And And people are also saying that why are we not surprised that EA waited a month to implement this so that it didn't hurt their reviews? It feels underhanded, it feels slimy, and therefore it feels basically like EA Sports. Lee, what are your thoughts?
EA Sports. There's ads in the game. Yeah. Like, look. Here's the deal about this. I would love to have been in the room where some EA executive or whoever, maybe it was UFC, I don't know, but some guy was like, we got this property, we can put the ads in there, it's a big part of the game, and we got the space for it, we get the dollars for it, and just so out of touch with the community once again, which continues to be a problem, Ray, with EA, just not in touch with their community. And this is something that's going to come bite them in the ass, because I'm telling you, the competitors are going to come. They're going to come for him at some point, and they're going to be on the fence. And it's like, guys, make a better game. Just make a better game and experience. Everyone else is doing it at this point. Putting additional advertisements in the game is ludicrous. It is ludicrous. It's a cash grab, as you said. It insults the intelligence of the gaming community. And if it's not a toggle on or off option, which it's not right now, probably will be. All right, but if you don't have the opportunity to turn that off, that's wrong. Like you said, it's just wrong. Yeah. It's slimy and wrong. And now they'll say, well, it's our game. We can do whatever we want. No, it's our game because we pay for the game. And if we stop paying for the game, it's gone. Yeah. And I know what you'll do. You'll blame the audience like you always do. Like it's not
and then you'll fire people and you'll close down studios again. And then everyone below the executives will pay the price. And again, and it's like
you said,
it's just terrible. And again, and also just to clarify, look, I understand like free to play games sometimes have to put ads in their games because
absolutely, totally get that.
But if we're dropping $60 on EA UFC 4, which I haven't played the game, but I've seen the videos of all the ads and the commercials. That should be it. You paid $60. That's it. You're done. That's it.
Look, the modern model for that situation is this: is either it's free or it's $30 with ads, and if you don't want the ads, you pay $60. That's what you would have done, and that's what you do on every other service in the world right now.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, dude, it's a cash grab. It's a full-out cash grab. Not to mention you have no control over what you're seeing. So yeah, it's messed up. It's wrong. It's messed up. EA, shame on you for doing that. I don't agree with you on that. There's a better, innovative way to make that happen than what you just did.
Yes.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday, and my stomach turned. It absolutely turned my stomach.
Look, I'll tell you one thing EA has done good, and I can tell you this from the NHL games, was getting Bauer Hockey and CCM Hockey and all the major hockey manufacturers
getting the legit
to get
brands.
their sticks in the game.
Yeah,
and get the sticks in the game, and get the gloves in the game, because that speaks to a hockey player. Then they can customize their player.
Yeah.
That's a good way of doing it correctly, right?
Yeah.
But if you can't even control what you're seeing between the rounds, it's just I don't know. Has that ever been done like that before? Outside, you know what I remember? That was like PS3 when you went into that virtual world online, and they'd have like music videos and commercials on when you were walking around.
Yeah, that didn't last long because it was.
No, that's what they did here. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's disgusting and it's terrible and no, it's just EA doing.
I'm gonna give that a big thumbs down. There you go.
Yes, there you go. Thumbs down. So speaking of hockey, though, does it for our sports section. We're going to now move into sports. The hockey playoffs are going on. The Final Four. Yes, the geek section is the
geek section.
Yes, where was it for our geek? My apologies. That's it for our geek section.
If I didn't correct you there, you'd yell at me later for not correcting you.
Yes, exactly. No, yes, yes. I thank you for correcting me. Sometimes a lot of thoughts going around the head, folks, and sometimes they misfire. Not as eloquent sometimes as I'd like to be.
We're all thinking about killing EA after this one.
Yeah, exactly. That stems from frustration. So anyway,
you know what flies through my mind, Ray? Sometimes came out of nowhere. Just a little Lego figure. Just was on my desk, and I did that. That's what happens
great.
With kids.
That's great.
Please come back. For those of you listening, I'm just flying a Lego creature across the screen.
Yeah, it's great. For the folks of you who got the video, you'll appreciate it. So NHL playoffs, the conference semifinals came to a conclusion yesterday. The Final Four is set. It is the Dallas Stars who, in stunning fashion, and also let me just say this: if Colorado was not so banged up, I really think Colorado would have taken that series. But Dallas took it. Dallas took advantage of that fact. They won in 7. They won in overtime. I can't even think of the kid's name. Yoel from
that's him.
Yeah, so from Finland, I believe, scored a hat trick in a Game 7 to put Dallas into the conference final against Vegas, who were the better team, although they required 7 as well against the Canucks in a hard-fought series. Demko came out of nowhere as the goaltender and suddenly became a superstar overnight, really stealing a couple of games. And then, of course, in the East, Tampa Bay rolled over Boston, which we've known that for a few days now. And the Flyers and Islanders, it was a hard-fought series. Barry Trotz, give credit to him. I think Barry Trotz is an amazing coach. He's one of the most underrated coaches in the NHL, in my opinion. Got his guys ready for a Game 7, had them pumped up, had them ready to go. Made a tough choice to put Greiss in net, his first career Game 7, instead of Varlamov, who had lost back-to-back overtime games to the Flyers. Overtime and double overtime. And the Islanders played one of the best defensive games I've seen in a very long time. I'm not trying to rub this in, Lee. I'm not trying to
No, they deserve to win that series. Keep going. You're fine.
It's just analysis of the Game 7. Like they held the Flyers to 16 shots. They scored 4 goals, one of them an empty netter. And Greiss stopped all 16, got his first career playoff shutout. And so the Final Four is set. Lightning versus Islanders. I think it's the Lightning, and Vegas versus Dallas. I think it's going to be Tampa Bay versus Vegas in the Cup final. I'm gonna make the prediction right here. So.
Yeah, just quick analysis of the semifinals. Dallas, who is a very talented team, I don't want to say they got lucky, but yeah, the Avalanche obviously heavily banged up that played into them losing. The Vegas Golden Knights, again, they ran into a hot goalie in Vancouver, but eventually found a way to solve that problem and get to the Cup final. I'm sorry, the conference final. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the East, Tampa Bay is look, man. I am going to pat myself on the back. I said they were the sleeper team before the round robin even began. I said no one's talking about them, and they are very motivated to win, and they are doing exactly what I said. When it comes to the Flyers and the Islanders, Flyers completely ran out of gas, and I give the Islanders a lot of credit for that. They are a grinding team. They grinded down the Flyers. And it got to a Game 7, and the Flyers completely exhausted last night. They looked completely exhausted. I think putting Greiss in net was not so much an anti-Varlamov move as it was, as you just said, he played double back-to-back overtime games. One of them was multiple overtimes. You got a fresh goaltender to go in the net. You got a team that's ready to go. They were very motivated. And the Flyers just did not have it last night for a Game 7. And again, that's a credit to not just the Game 7, but the whole series. The Islanders grinded them down just like they did to the Capitals, just like they did to the Panthers, right? Yeah. So that's their game plan. And now they're running into the best offensive team in the conference. So this is what I always say when you get to the conference final time period. If you're in the conference finals, you deserve to be there. Like, there's no more flukes. There's no more, the Islanders are a fluky team. No, if you're there, you deserve to be there. You're doing something right. 4 great teams leading into the Stanley Cup final. Put a gun to my head. Yeah, I'm picking Tampa Bay and Vegas to go there. Again, the Islanders have not seen a team like Tampa yet. Tampa is a better Philadelphia, which means they are probably going to score more goals. I think that is going to be a very good series, though, as do I think that the Dallas Stars versus Vegas, because Dallas feels destined now, too. They weren't supposed to go this far. It kind of came out of nowhere as well. So looking forward to the conference finals. Congratulations to the Islanders on beating my Flyers. You absolutely earned it. I got to tell you, though, as a Flyers fan, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. This is the first season in my life that I am confidently, a little bit last season, but looking into next season, like, man, we have got a goaltender, and we are going to have him for a very long time.
Yes.
And this team is not far off. I haven't felt that way maybe since the turn of the century. Teams around that time period where I was like, man, we really are good enough to win a cup. So it's exciting to be a Flyers fan right now. And I got to say it again, Barry Trotz, as you said, it's amazing to me he's still underrated. Longtime coach of the Predators. Won the Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals, got the best out of that team, Alex Ovechkin. Somehow they didn't have enough money to keep him. He goes to the Islanders and is winning with this team that has complete Barry Trotz, work you down style. It's a great team. I do want to make one note.
Islanders let go a lot of their best talent, like Tavares and all that stuff, and he's turned this team into a legit contender. It's their first conference final in 27 years.
Since 1993, where they lost to the Montreal Canadiens with a young goaltender named Patrick Waugh. Was he a rookie? No, he wasn't.
And Montreal went on to win it all that year, right?
They did. They beat the Kings.
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky led Kings. But this is the one thing I want to say to the Islanders fan base, because I think they're in danger of becoming something they don't want to become. You sound, Islander fans, so much like the Devils right now. And this is why. All right. I have seen, and here's the thing, you get a rip on Philadelphia for this, and I'm okay with that. But this does not happen in Philly, in the Rangers territory. Stop talking about John Tavares and how stupid he is for leaving your team. He's not on the team. You are winning without him, and it's great. But it's all I've heard from Islander fans is, yeah, screw you, Tavares. And then, like, why is everybody talking about the Rangers? Why does everybody care about the Rangers? Shut up and focus on your own team. You should be very proud of the Islanders not talking about everything else but the Islanders. Classic mistake, classic Napoleonic complex, classic, but we're not New York City. That's what it sounds like to everyone outside Long Island when you complain about players that are not there anymore and or the Rangers, right? Yeah. And again, why do you care about what the Rangers fans think right now? You think they care? Do you honestly think the Rangers fans care?
We don't care at all about the Islanders.
They don't care. Okay, they don't care. I'm telling you. Okay, like, do you honestly think they care about what you're doing?
I'm only talking about you because we have this show.
It's fair though. It's a fair game. Like, Rangers fans are happy too right now. They're going to next season with the #1 overall draft.
Yeah,
pick.
We're ready to go too. Like,
don't do what the Devils do. Focus on your. This is why I'm saying this, by the way, and this is why Islander fans sometimes piss me off. You are the last true dynasty in this game. You won 4 cups in a row. Okay? You won 4 in a row. And to your credit, it is a forgotten dynasty, and that is a travesty.
Yeah.
Remind people of the great players. Trottier. Remind people of Bossy. Remind people of everyone from those 4 Stanley Cup teams that was amazing. Billy Smith in net.
Potvin.
Right?
Potvin.
Yeah, you have what the Rangers want already, and you're bitching and moaning about the Rangers.
Yeah.
Focus on your own team. I'm not saying other teams don't do this in the sense of, like, I know Flyers fans can be very annoying. But, look, the truth is nobody hates Philadelphia more than people from Philadelphia. I know that. I grew up here. Okay? Stop. Like, John Tavares, that's like 3 seasons ago now. Yeah. What are you doing? Move on. Be happy. Your team's in the conference final. And here's the thing. If you lose in the conference final, the complaining, you will be Devils fans. I can already hear, well, I shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that. You should be happy you're there. And whether you win or lose, you should be proud of your team this season because it's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's true. And
that's
also,
that's a Lee rant.
And to be fair, and we talk about the Islander defense and the Tampa Bay offense, but also you can't discredit the Islander offense, or the Tampa Bay defense, led guys like former Ranger Ryan McDonough or Victor Hedman and things like that. Like, this is going to be a really fun series.
He's a tall son of a bitch, man. I was like, hey, Vic.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. It's gonna be good hockey, but man, Islanders fans, you complain about your team so much. It's just again, I'm not saying Philly fans don't, because that's always the number one comment. You Philly, you guys do the same thing. Like, I know, guys, but your team's winning. That's the difference.
Yeah, yeah. Philly fans are usually very quiet when their teams are doing very well, right? Yeah. And to be fair, certain team with New York City, well, sometimes we get a little bit braggadocious, but...
Well, look, I'll tell you this. In Elimination Cafe, one of the groups I've run, I was actually really impressed. A majority of Flyers fans were very gracious with the Islanders. Like, hey, you guys beat us. You deserved it. It was obvious. Like, there's nothing else we could say. Like, we conceded with style, with grace. And it's like, I know Islander fans this season that have said during the season, I'm done with this team. They can't do anything. And now what are you doing? You're the best fan in the world. It's just...
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not trying to rip Islanders fans. What I'm trying to say is I want more for Islander fans because your team deserves more. You're finally going to have a home in Belmont, which you drastically deserved for a long time. Yeah. Okay? Like, I'm not an Islander hater. I just guys, get a grip. You won 4 cups in a row. I know it was 40 years ago, but get a grip.
Well, I mean, that's hard for Long Island people. They're on a special little bubble off on their
a little bubble island. We're not New York City, but if you ask me where I'm from when I'm not here, I'm from New York City.
Yeah.
Long Island's part of New York City.
Speaking about New York City, you know what a team that is really terrible is the New York Knicks. So we're not going to talk about them at all as we move into basketball because it's the basketball playoffs as well. The semifinals for there are getting underway. It's very interesting what's happening there. Now, basketball staggers their schedule so that when two teams that are supposed to meet are ready to go, they just go. So some series are on the verge of ending, whereas others are just getting started. So we are just a little away from tip-off between the Rockets and Lakers. Rockets are up in that semifinal series 1-0. The Rockets, of course, won a very tough 7-game series against Oklahoma City. Surprisingly that the Lakers dropped the first game because LeBron had a chip on his shoulder after Jay Williams of ESPN came out and said that, when LeBron played with Dwayne Wade, LeBron was his Scottie Pippen. Which, first off, stop! I'm so sick of everybody knocking Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was one of the greatest defenders and one of the best basketball players of all time. You say that's like it's a bad thing, first off. Second off, LeBron's LeBron.
He's the best player in the game. Come on.
Seriously. And, it's just I'm so sick of so many of these basketball analysts who are just talking for the sake of talking because they don't know what else to say anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron at some point goes off on this series because he has a chip on his shoulder again, which is the Rockets probably heard that and really? You really had to piss off LeBron James before our series? Really? So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, exactly.
I should announce the Bucks just won in overtime against the Heat.
I was going to get to that. I'm glad we had a long hockey segment because that last minute of that game took 15 minutes like it does all the time in basketball. But the Bucks, surprisingly, the Heat came out to a 3-0 lead in that series. And we've talked about this. It's rare there are upsets in playoff basketball. But the Heat are on the cusp of pulling off a legitimate upset against the Bucks here.
Great.
in this series, but the Bucks did hold them off at least in Game 4, won 118-115 in overtime. So that series is 3-1 in favor of Miami. Again, I don't think it's ever happened. It's never happened in basketball where a team down 3-0 has come back to win and pull off the reverse sweep to win in 7. So I think it's probably going to be Miami, but I'm just very surprised that Miami is doing as well as they are right now. Clippers and Nuggets is 1-1 right now. I think the Clippers are still going to take that series, but the Nuggets came out strong, showing in game. I think it was Game 2. The Clippers blew them out in the first game, absolutely obliterated them. And the Nuggets came out and even that series nicely. But I still think the Clippers. And surprisingly, Celtics were up 2-0 in that series, and then the Raptors hit a miraculous game-winning three-pointer in Game 3 with literally 1 second left on the clock. And then the Celtics, I don't know if they were deflated from that or whatever, but came out and played a very poor Game 4. And the Raptors won that. So that series is tied 2-2. And that is super fascinating to see because those are – I do legit believe that whoever wins the Boston-Toronto series is probably going to win the East.
I disagree with you there, and here's why. It depends on how long that series goes. If that's a long series and Miami can close this thing out pretty quickly, if that happens,
they'll be rested.
They'll be rested and they'll be determined. And that's the thing is, you don't go out there and beat the Bucks and then just lay down for Boston or Toronto. Anyway, it's a storyline. I'll put it that way. I think it's going to be a tougher conference final than people think.
That's fair.
I mean, the only time I can think of a team coming back from being down is when the Cavaliers came back against Golden State in that final. It's the only time I've ever seen that happen. Right? They were up 3-0, and then didn't the Cavs come back and win that 4-3?
No, so it was 3-1. It was you mean Cavs versus Warriors? Warriors were up 3. Warriors were up 3-1. Yes. Warriors were up 3-1, and the Cavs came back and won in 7. So it wasn't a full reverse sweep, but
there you go. I mean, that's the biggest comeback I can remember in basketball.
Yeah, it was the 3-1 series for the Warriors. Yeah. So again, it's not unheard of, but this would be a full reverse sweep if Milwaukee can pull this off, which would be I mean, look, it's always a long shot, right? I think it's only happened a handful of times over the whole history of all of sportsdom. So.
Yeah, well, this is the year it would happen. Like I said, this is the year it would happen. There's no crowds, right? These guys can focus. We talked about this a little bit on our last show too. Is that there's no home advantage for anybody right now, right? Mm-hmm. They're all in the same home, so focus of a professional athlete is at an all-time high. You never know what can happen now, and like you said, we've seen that with the success rate on baskets. These guys are hitting more baskets than they ever hit in their life because there's no distractions.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, we talk about this. There's nobody behind them when them free throws or anything and it's really it's a lot of fun. It's much better basketball actually that we're seeing, which is fascinating in my opinion. But yeah, so there's that. And Major League Baseball is still a mess. Moving on. But they did have their trade deadline this week, which was interesting, as the San Diego Padres are going all in. They made trades with the Mariners, Red Sox, and Cleveland, including getting the best starting pitcher on the market, Mike Clevinger, from Cleveland. And they've been winning, they've been pretty strong since that trade. The Dodgers are still the team to beat. They might not make up that lead, but I'm going to make a prediction here now. The National League is a 3-team race, and really it's really a 2-team race because at this point I really think it's just Dodgers and Padres. But with 8 teams making the playoffs, even if the Dodgers get the 1 seed, the Padres are now built for short series in the baseball playoffs with guys like Clevinger as the 1. And they are a dangerous team. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. My Yankees did nothing. They continue to collapse. Yankees might not even make the playoffs. We're only 2 games over 500 at this point with 20 left to play as the Yankees continue to absolutely implode and prove that Aaron Boone is a terrible manager, doesn't know what he's doing, inherited a good team, and now under his stewardship drove him into the ground.
A great team with the best pitcher in the league.
That's true. Aaron Boone inherited a great team that was literally a game away from the World Series, and then the Yankees fired Joe Girardi, and he went down to Philadelphia, who have been super hot lately. Congratulations, Lee. They might make the playoffs now.
They're 3 games out of the top spot. I mean, they're in the playoffs as of right now, so we'll see what happens. I'll be honest with you, Ray. I've had a hard time with baseball this year, watching baseball. I have been, I might be fully honest with people, I've been talking about how angry I am with baseball. I've been just checking the box scores and the standings, and like when the playoffs start, I'll look into it. I mean, I think right now, if you had to tell me to pick someone, I actually think the Dodgers are the team that everybody needs to look out for, for lots of different reasons. But I have very little interest in watching baseball right now because of everything that they did this year. I know you love the Yankees, and like I said, I have no problem with anybody watching baseball, but I'm just having a hard time with it this year. I think when they get to the postseason, I'll watch if the Phillies are in the postseason, but I kind of practice what I preach here. I do not think this is a legitimate season right now. I think that the integrity of this season has been blown out of the water. I don't want to take anything away from the team that win the playoffs, but the way I'm going to look at the World Series champion this year is like the regular season was BS, and then they had this tournament, and you're the winner of the tournament, and you deserve it. You deserve it if you can win with this field, okay?
Yeah.
But I have no interest in watching the regular season. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest with you. That's my honest answer.
No, I feel like I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've watched the past couple of weeks the least amount of baseball I've ever watched probably in my life. I've watched I think one of the Yankee games. I just haven't been, and not because the Yankees are bad. I've also watched a Cubs Cardinals game. Like, folks, I watch baseball, folks. I like to watch.
You're a baseball fan.
Yeah,
you're a baseball fan.
Like, I did watch a little bit of the Cubs Cardinal doubleheader yesterday, but A, I've been busy, but B, also it's just like I look at that game and I'm like, God, the Cardinals are playing their 7th doubleheader in 2 weeks because they're trying to make up all that time they lost from COVID. Like, it's just so hard to watch.
Right? Look, above all, you're a sports fan. Above all, we're both sports fans. We love sports, okay? And this is the truth. There's better product on right now. The NHL playoffs are better. The NBA playoffs are better. Even drooling over the NFL right now is a little bit better, all right? So it's like baseball's product is not great right now, in my opinion. It has some good games, and that's why you watch that matchup. You're looking for a good matchup.
Yeah.
All right? But between the stoppages and the starts and the doubleheaders, I would be pissed if this was a Little League situation, okay? I'm not going to lie to you, all right? So I'm having a hard time with baseball right now. We'll see how they finish up. I hope they finish strong and bubble the playoffs, because I'll tell you what, if there's an outbreak during the playoffs, I'm not watching. I'll tell you that right now.
The sport might be dead if there's an outbreak in the playoffs.
I'm done. I'm done for a while if that's the case. We deserve better. We deserve better than
They've been talking about doing a playoff bubble, but they haven't announced that yet, so.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know why they haven't yet. It doesn't make any sense. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, look, if I may transition here, baseball did lose one of its best this week when Tom Seaver passed away. He had been sick for a while, so this wasn't completely unexpected. Now, Ray and I are not big Mets fans, but we do know greatness when we see it. And Tom Seaver was great. He's greatness for the Mets. He's probably, if not the greatest Met of all time, he probably is, right? I mean,
he's
when you think about it,
definitely there, yeah.
He's in the conversation. So we definitely wanted to acknowledge that to Mets fans. One of the few times we will tip our caps to you with the passing of Tom Seaver. But we must let you know that we still do not like your baseball team. But we are with you as you mourn the loss of one of your better players. We understand that.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Seaver, he passed away at the age of 75 from a combination of dementia, and the result, they also said complications from COVID. So it was a mix. But like Lee said, his health had been deteriorating for a while. It's very sad. He was one of the best pitchers of all time. 311 wins, over 3,600 strikeouts. He threw a no-hitter. He obviously
World Series champion.
He guided that '69 Miracle Met team over the powerhouse Orioles of that year to a World Series. Like, it just he was baseball royalty. Like, I mean, there's no other way to put it. He was one of the best players of all time. He's in two teams' Ring of Honor, or Ring of Hall of Fame, the Mets and the Reds. He played for many, many years. There's actually, I don't know if this story is true, but supposedly in like the early 90s, after he had long retired, because he was also part of people don't realize he was also part of that 86 Red Sox team that was going against the Mets. I don't know if he made the playoff roster, but he was traded to the Red Sox mid-season from the White Sox. And he was at least part of the regular season roster. But a few years later, supposedly he tried to make a comeback. And people said the only reason why that's the only thing that stopped him was that he hurt his calf in spring training, and then he finally retired. Like, it was like that, but that's kind of, he was a competitor. He wanted the ball every fourth or fifth day, no matter what. He was one of the greats, and it is a super sad. It's super sad when anybody passes, but definitely we our heart goes out to him, his family, and of course his fans. Even though they're Mets fans. But yeah, no, it's just very, very sad.
We're trying here, people. We're trying hard, okay? You know who else is going to try hard this season?
The NFL.
Basketball?
Oh, I was going to talk about also really quickly that we were going to talk about the NFL.
Well, fine, Ray. I was trying to toss up a trend. You know what, Ray? You know who's going to be tough this season? The NFL. There you go.
Yes. They're going to.
If you're part of this community, we transition. We do it. You get it all from us.
So, I mean, the just really quickly, next week, actually during our PAX Online panel, the NFL will be kicking off. Yes.
And no at the same time.
And yeah, exactly. They've only delayed the season a week. They canceled the preseason. Yesterday, they cut down the rosters to 53 men. A couple of interesting moves. The Bucs signed Leonard Fournette away from the Jaguars. The Jaguars made some trades. The Giants made a trade for a cornerback with the Broncos, sent the 7th-round pick over to Denver. I think it's actually a good deal for the Giants because we need secondary help, and the 7th-round pick is nothing. But I think that the Eagles made news today by putting Josh McCown at 41 years old on their practice squad. So he's the emergency quarterback should anything happen, which they probably need an emergency quarterback with Carson. I made a glass Wentz. Sorry, buddy.
Man, that's cold.
But yeah,
he wasn't made a glass last season. I'll tell you that.
Until the playoffs.
He wasn't made a glass last season. I'm not. Yeah.
Anyway,
but he did a great season last year.
We'll see what happens this year.
Do you really want to talk about quarterbacks on football teams with me? Do you really want to do this?
No, I do not want to talk about Danny Dumpster Fire. That's what I'm calling. Until he proves otherwise, folks, it's not Danny Dimes. It's Danny Dumpster Fire out of Duke.
Duke.
So he's got to earn my trust because he did not do it last year. Sorry, it's the truth. And honestly, and we talk about this a little bit on the show on PAX Online, but as we make our predictions. But I was going to say it again: Giants are going to go 5-11. Worst case scenario 4-12. Best case scenario 7-9. But I'm putting the Giants in at 5-11. You've heard it here, folks. It's going to be a rough, long year, and the Giants are going to look really ugly as that offensive line is terrible. And I don't think that Danny Dimes is going to make a step. I think he's going to make a step back, which is going to be real bad this year. And the Eagles will win the division again. So there you go.
Well, look, I'm hoping the Eagles win the division. It's their division to lose in my mind. I think Dallas is going to be a sleeper team that does extremely well with a new coach. I think they're talented enough to win the NFC East.
And Dak is motivated because he's playing for a contract.
It's true. I just think that the Eagles are. I think the Eagles are a better team overall with a little more experience. And I don't want to actually sleep on the Washington football team either because they have this identity. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to play spoiler a lot more than people realize.
With Ron Rivera at the helm, they're going to be scrappy.
Yeah. They have an identity now. Actually, their lack of identity is giving them an identity, is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah,
I expect them to sneak some victories out this year, especially in the division.
Yes.
I could see them beating the Eagles or the Cowboys at some point if they're not careful or being taken seriously. So we'll have to see where that goes. But look, I'm looking forward to the NFL season, but I do have to say this, that it's something we discussed again at our PAX panel is, will they even make it through the full season? NFL is cocky enough to look at the MLB and say, oh, that won't happen to us.
Yeah.
You got to learn from what Major League Baseball did wrong. You got to really put some rules in place to make sure these players aren't doing something stupid. Because, listen, it's different. This is the truth. Canceling baseball games is one thing because there's 100 baseball games, or in this case 60, right?
Yeah.
Canceling a football game, you can't miss a football game.
Yeah, there's only 16.
You can't. They can't afford. There are no double headers. You can't do anything like that. So, if a team misses you can't miss 2 weeks. You can't do it. So I don't know what they're gonna do, or what the plans are for that. And the NFL has been very quiet about any other safety regulations. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's been nothing, and it's much easier to transmit it in football.
It's concerning.
I hope there's a Super Bowl this year. I really mean that. I'm not saying that sarcastically, but I'm also very cautious that they are dumb enough to look at the MLB and learn nothing. That's how much faith I have in Roger Goodell.
Yeah, Goodell in his basement where he did the draft from, just sitting there with his thumb up his butt. And it's just it's very concerning. Yeah, I mean, look, canceling the preseason, delaying everything a week was nice. It bought you a little bit of time, but
you
look,
have to bubble these guys.
Yeah, it's really, it's a mess waiting to happen. Speaking of messes,
it is.
Yeah. Speaking of messes, last night also a brief wrestling segment. AEW All Out pay-per-view, or as the fans are calling it, Botchamania. Really a mess. Look, there were some good matches. I'm kind of sick of Moxley continuing to retain the title, but he did retain again, this time over MJF, who I think is going to be, he's the future of wrestling. He's great. He's got a lot of the Rock, and he's like a cross between Rock and Triple H. He is an awesome heel. He's terrific.
Top of the top.
Yeah, like, Jericho lost his match, put Orange Cassidy over, because that's what Jericho's doing now. He realizes his career's coming to an end, so good on him putting the young guys over in what was a very good match. FTR came in, won the tag titles, but the big thing was they had a Casino Royale match, which is kind of like their take on a Battle Royale, but like 5 guys come out at once, which was interesting, instead of 1 guy at a time. New guy, I can't even, Sylvan or something, completely slipped off the top turnbuckle, went for a high-flying maneuver, busted his head on the mat. But even more terribly was the rivalry match between Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. A hardcore match. It was a spot outside, 15-foot drop. Matt was thrown off the top. He missed the table. His head. God, I thought he was dead. I swear to God, it was the most sickening thing I've seen in forever in wrestling. And immediately they put the X's up. For those of you who don't know, when a ref or anybody does this, that means a guy's hurt, means stop the match, end the match, just go for the pin, end it, and then get the guy some help. Thankfully, he was only terribly, terribly concussed, but his head bounced off the concrete. But Matt Hardy continued the match. He kept going with the match, and again, and this is a mistake on AEW's part. They should have stopped the match. You put the X's up, that means you end the match. The dude was seriously, seriously hurt. You don't let him make that call at that point. We've had so much.
Don't do it in boxing. You can't do it in boxing.
We've had so many terrible injuries over the years, so many terrible falls for these guys that. And I get it. AEW, they're the first people they let real live fans back in the stands. Like I get it, but you gotta put your guys first. Matt Hardy has had a cursed run at AEW, and he's had to give up his gimmick. He's been hurt several times, and this is just the icing on the cake. I really think that this was I'm a big AEW fan. I have gone full AEW over WWE at this point, but this is a bad look for them, and that's my thoughts on it.
Well, look, this is the truth. The other shoe had to drop at some point. The honeymoon phase with AEW has ended now because of this Botchamania in a lot of different ways, and now it's become hey guys, what are you doing, right? And that was always going to happen. It was the fresh new thing in town, and now it's starting suddenly. Yeah, you said the other shoe dropped. Here's the thing: when it comes to concussions, we have too many examples of learning what not to do at this point. Ray, I agree with you. You have to stop the match at that point. You don't want this guy, getting CTE in the future and then suing them. So I don't know where the leadership was from AEW at that moment. Okay, you do not let a concussed person not say they can keep going, but wrestle where you're probably going to hit your head again. Yeah. Okay, so that was a mistake on their part, and they have to learn from it. That's the key here. They have to learn from it. You push the gamut a little bit too far. Now you know your limit. Yeah. And you're going to have to come back and learn from this. That is it. That is that simple, all right? But, human life should not be in a position to be sacrificed. I admire Hardy for wanting to continue. That's a full-out hockey move. All right, but even in hockey, boxing, UFC, they don't let you continue.
Somebody stops you, and so nobody for AEW.
It's a mistake.
Stepped in. I mean, and look, you build your storylines around this. I get that at the end you wanted Matt Hardy to win this match, but you could have easily had Sammy there, get the pin, and then you write a new storyline. You pivot. We've seen this before. We've seen again, and also this also goes with some of the greatest workers of all time. When Owen Hart broke Stone Cold's neck, and you had the worst schoolboy pin ever. With Stone Cold with the neck, pulls him down and just cuts him for the pin. So Stone Cold did get the belt. But then the next night, Stone Cold relinquished it. And you turn it into merchandise. Where Owen's like, I'm Owen Hart 316. I broke Stone Cold's neck. you run with it, but the match ended almost immediately after Stone Cold realized he had a broken neck. Like, you put the X's up, the match is over, and you pivot.
Yeah, and wrestling fans will be willing to accept that.
Yeah. Everybody understands that, like, these guys are actually putting their lives on the line with a lot of these moves, and they could actually get legitimately hurt. So when somebody gets legitimately hurt, protect them. Make the call.
Do you remember seeing the Undertaker's face after he threw Mankind off the cage?
Oh my God,
He's like I killed him.
Yeah, like
he stopped. I killed him.
He didn't want to do it. Like, Mankind made him do it. Like, it's like, I mean, and Mick Foley's inhuman, and of course he's paying for it the rest of his life. The guy can barely walk now, but like, it's just, I don't know. I love wrestling. I love wrestling. Everyone knows I love wrestling.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about shock all the time. Good storylines are a big part of wrestling. You know, that's one of the things we like is the storylines, and like your ability to write great storylines is what makes it great wrestling. And that's where the WWE has struggled since the turn of the Attitude Era. Right? Like, again, everybody looks at the Attitude Era and WWE, WWF at the time, and goes, "Oh, wow, it was a shock value." The storylines were really, really good. I'm actually under the impression they could have succeeded, maybe not as well, because they were competing with WCW, but they actually could have succeeded with some of those storylines without the extreme side of it. You know, so like, you know, you're constantly getting new fans. You know, there's a great storyline with AEW versus WWE. I wish they would stick with that. And again, I'm sure there's some meetings going on right now about, listen, guys, if that ever happens again, you have to stop.
No, for sure.
All right?
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what happens in this week's Dynamite on Wednesday nights.
Me too.
Yeah. But and speaking of storylines and botches and things like that, our last sports story today, going back to the NBA as we kind of come here almost full circle.
It's a good story. It's a happy story.
It's an interesting story. Steve Nash has been hired as the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Steve Nash has no coaching experience, but of course was one of the best players of all time. This has, again, stirred up some controversy because people are like, well, some more qualified people were passed over for him to get his first coaching shot. And again, some of it's it's funny because I go to the Stephen A. Smith thing where Stephen A. was like very, very torn because Stephen A. was mad that very qualified African-American coaches were passed over again in the NBA. But, again, he was also very, very happy because Steve Nash is somebody who's probably worthy of a coaching spot at some point. And it's, again, that line of the temperature of the world that we're in right now. It's like, well, Steve Nash is deserving, but also so are all these other guys. And they also have more experience and have been working for this longer. And, again, it goes to the thing where Patrick Ewing was an assistant coach for 10 years before he got a shot at Georgetown. You know, it's like one of those things where, and it's now Steve Nash, who has no experience, is being put at the helm of one of the more stacked NBA teams going forward if they can stay healthy. It's one of those things where you are seeing this weird, like, it's kind of like a bittersweet thing where, again, Steve Nash, an amazing talent and probably deserves a shot, but at what cost? At the expense of what else?
Yeah, look, the NBA has been by far the most outspoken league when it comes to diversity, and they've done some good things and some bad things, in my opinion, with that. Some of the stuff, I think, missed the mark. Some of the stuff's been very good. Here's the deal. He didn't get that job because they just handed him the job and said, hey, do you want the job over all these other qualified candidates? He was interviewed. He obviously brought something to the table that fits that team. I think we also have to remember, too, unlike the other three sports, you know, the NBA is coached quite differently, where you have athletes. Look at LeBron and what happened with Lou. I mean, like, you know, LeBron's running that team. All right. Yeah. And the thing is that people, well, he shouldn't be running the team, the coach. Well, you can tell me what you think, but the truth is LeBron is running the Lakers right now, and they need a coach that's going to allow him to do that. We saw this with Phil when it came to Jordan. Like, you have to be a certain type of personality to coach a player like that. Okay. So
you got to give them a little more leash than others.
Right. So Steve Nash is a player. He's someone's going to be respected by all the players on that team. Yeah. All right. And I think that he's probably the right fit for that team at this time. Now, I don't know how he's going to do. First-year coaches tend to have a problem. Right. He may be great. He may be not. Look, every coach gets fired at some point. All right. In fact, you know a good coach from a bad coach. They get fired and rehired multiple times. Yes. That's a famous quote by Scotty Bowman. He's been fired many times. He's the greatest coach in the history of the NHL. Phil Jackson was fired multiple times. Greatest coach in NBA history. You can go down the line to the Major League Baseball. It always happens, okay?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good move in terms of if they think he's the right person for the job, and we'll find out. And there's also a lot of other coaching vacancies. I know the Sixers are looking for a coach right now. There was actually a lot of talk of would Dawn Staley come in and coach, who would be the first female coach in the NBA of all time, and she would be a phenomenal coach. She's one of the greatest women's coaches in the history of basketball. So
yeah.
I mean, that's another story that we should be focused on, and I really mean that she is being seriously considered for that job. And it's not a diversity hire to me as much as she's a great basketball coach. So, well, look, Steve Nash has deserved his place in basketball. Sorry, I almost said baseball. He absolutely deserves his shot to coach. And while it might be seen as controversial to some people, to me, it's like, look, this guy deserves it. He deserves to be there. He's part of basketball, and we should not be basing his hire on the color of his skin solely either. There's another side to this. There's like another side to that argument that it might be almost discriminatory, almost, if they say that he's getting that because he's white. No, he's getting it because he's Steve Nash. He's been the MVP of the league several times. All right, and he deserves to have a job, in my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me, or educate me. I'm not saying that sarcastically. If you think I've missed something. Okay, I'm not beneath that, right? If maybe I am missing something, I'm not the biggest basketball fan in the world, but that's how it looks on the surface.
Well, and like you said, also, Kevin Durant's gonna be back with the Nets next year from injury, right? Like you have superstars on this team who will act like field generals or court generals in this case, and it might be good to have somebody like a Nash who's a former player. Nash was that. People forget Nash was a general on the court, right? Like
he's gonna understand.
Yeah, so it could just have been, he could have been the best guy for the job. So we'll see what happens. But I also understand what people are saying, and obviously, like you said, we're listening, right? Like comment below, like let us know. There's a lot of shades of gray, folks. There's a lot of shades of gray.
Yeah, this is not some recycled coach. That's what I'm trying to say. He's a new coach, and he's royalty in basketball. He deserves a shot. That's how I look at it. Straightforward.
Yeah. So, speaking of coaches, though, it's time to move into our mashup for the day. Yes, we've got a good one. Speaking of coaches, what video game character would you hire to be a real-life sports coach? Lee, let's go to you first.
Because we have all these guests today. Listen, here's the truth. I thought about this, right? First, your mind goes to the heroes, like Captain America in a video game would be. No, the truth is this: the best coach would be a villain. They're masterminds. They find things to do, right? Then I started going through villains. I joked with Ray before the episode. Albert Wesker from Resident Evil might be a really good one. I even thought about the Joker, but he'd probably sabotage the team and just kill everybody because he doesn't care enough.
Yeah, I don't think the Joker would be a good coach.
Yeah, the Riddler would not be able to communicate with his team well at all, even though he's not a video game character. So I really started looking at video game history. And I actually think that, and I did pick a hero, but his antithesis would work. But I think Solid Snake would be a very good coach, right? And his antithesis, Ray, whose name escapes me right now.
Well, there's Big Boss and
Big Boss is a good one too. But Solid Snake is a good pick. He knows how to strategize. He knows how to hide. He knows how to put an exclamation point in the air better than anybody else.
No,
right? But Yeah, no, I was thinking about that, and you want a villain or a hero that's good at strategy and is not bigger than the game, right? That's the other thing too, because you can't have a name that's too big there in that part. But I think Solid Snake would be a good one. But I think Albert Wesker would actually be a pretty good coach as well, unless he mutates. That would be weird.
Yeah, that would be.
What's going on the court? Albert Wesker's turning into something. Oh my God! What's happening? He's eating his players. No.
Well, actually, to be fair, Wesker's one of the few guys to inject themselves with the virus and to actually not usually mutate to such a point that he lost control.
Yeah. It's a hero among the zombie community.
Exactly. Yeah. Zombie lives matter.
Rights.
Sorry, that was just a joke.
No, come on. We can joke once in a while. It's not a shot at anything.
Yeah, it's not. Trust me, folks. That's just
they don't have lives anyway, so that's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. It just. But listen.
The undead are alive.
Yeah. So for me, then there's obvious coaches too, like Doc Lewis of Little Mac, right? Guys who actually are coaches in games.
Greatest upset in the history of sport.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I mean, but I don't know if him making me ride a bike all day is going to get me to where I need to
be in a pink outfit too.
Yeah,
that's the real hidden hero of that game.
Yes,
he made him run through New York in the '80s in a pink jumpsuit. That's brave.
That is very brave. That's very true. Oh man, so this was very, very hard because there's not a lot of video game characters aren't leaders. They're individuals, right? You sit down you play as one player. So I'm really trying to think who's in control of a team that's the thing, is that typically it's the villains who are in control of large organizations. Whether it's Dr. Wily with all his robots.
That would be a good one.
That would be a good one.
Or even Dr. Light, but I think he'd lose a lot.
I mean, Dr. Light, I think, would be good, but I think that he would not be. He only really works with Mega Man, right? Like he only works with that center. He.
I was just saying, Robotnik would probably be a good choice if you think about it. He made his own army of people. He's still around.
Yeah, but also, I always go back to I always go to Gears of War. I think Marcus Phoenix would be a good coach, right?
Yeah, that's a great pick.
He'd be yelling at you all the time, but like that's one of the few games where he had to work as a team, but he also had to lead. And then obviously now he's older and he's still in Gears and he's still leading Gears into battle. And I think that he would be the guy that I would want the pep talk from. Like, yeah,
I can see that.
Like right before we went into the game-winning shot, like he'd be like.
What about Master Chief if we're gonna go that direction?
See, I don't think again. Master Chief's a loner to me. He's not. He gets into a situation.
He's like 10 feet tall.
That's true, but he gets dropped into a situation. Like I would listen to Master Chief, but he's like he gets into a situation. He's surrounded by all the Space Marines, and he's just kind of like, all right, I'm just gonna do this. Go away, and he just does. He just goes off on his own, and the Space Marines are just kind of like, all right, or the OTST guys or whatever, and it's like, okay, Master Chief's got it. We can all relax, everybody. Let's go get beers. Woo! Master Chief's gonna handle it. Yeah, like. But Marcus Phoenix really relies on the people around him, and he knows how to motivate people and how to get them going to the point where they literally give their lives for him. Rest in peace, Dom. Gears 3. Spoiler alert. It's the game's 10 years old, so it's not that much of a spoiler. But
if you're back in 2010, spoiler alert.
Yeah, no. So I think Marcus Phoenix. I would take Marcus Phoenix.
I think that's a great answer.
I
think that's a fair answer.
Because I really struggled with this one as I literally talked it out here on the air.
That's fine. Well, I think he's coaching a football team, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. He'd be coaching a football team.
I think I'll have Solid Snake. He'd probably be a good baseball coach.
Yeah.
More than a hockey coach. I was thinking that Solid Snake. Yeah. Well, there you go. We want to know what you think. Let us know by commenting below, above, beside, wherever you are. What video game heroine or what video game villain would make a great coach in professional sports? Let us know by typing to us or yelling at us or DMing us or emailing us or contacting us in any possible way, letting us know who your favorite hero is that would be a sports coach. This is Lee and Ray on Geeks Who Like Sports. Now, throwing it back to Ray for the close, I'm Lee.
Yes, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We really appreciate it. This has been episode 73. Be sure to tune in next week, next Sunday. We are PAX Online episode. We got a lot of guests coming up. We got a lot of great stuff happening on the horizon. We have a giveaway coming later this week to keep your eyes out for. We really appreciate everybody who tunes in. As always, join the Facebook group. Follow us on Geeks Who Like SP1 on Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, go to geekswholikesport.com to get all previous episodes or listen on, wherever you get your podcasts. They're all there, too. There's an archive. It's great. It's fantastic. Technology's amazing. But thank you all so much for watching or listening. For Lee, I am Ray. This has been episode number 73 of Geeks Who Like Sports. We will see you in a few days with another leaderboard interview and then PAX Online. Good night, everybody.